In this video, we'll be factoring the sum or difference of cubes. Now, the rule for factoring the sum of cubes is if you have addition and then two numbers which are cubes, you can factor, first of all, you'll have a binomial multiplied by a trinomial, and this will happen in both cases. In the binomial, you'll have the cube root of the first term plus the cube root of the second term. So whatever sign is here, that's the operation that's also here in the binomial. And then after you've decided on the binomial, then take the first term of the binomial and square it. And then you'll always have one minus sign. If it's the sum of cubes, then your minus sign is here in the trinomial, the first operation. If it's the difference of cubes, notice the subtraction here, then your one minus sign will be in the binomial out in front here. All right, so you have your one minus sign, and then you multiply the first term times the second term, and that'll be the middle term of your trinomial, and then you'll have plus the second term in your binomial squared. Notice only the one minus sign. This is always going to be a plus back here and back. So the difference of cubes, you'll have cube root of A minus cube root of B. That's going to be your binomial. And then the trinomial back here, notice we've already used our minus sign, so it's going to have all pluses. And we have a squared, and then plus ab, and then plus b squared back here. Let's do a couple examples. Our first example, we're asked to factor x cubed plus 8. Now I know that 8 is a cube because 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. So I know that I'm going to have a binomial factor and then a long trinomial factor. This is the sum of cubes, so I know I'm going to have a plus here, and then since I'm allowed one minus sign, I'll have a minus here and a plus here. And then the cube root of x cubed is x. The cube root of 8 is 2. And then once I have this binomial established, then I take this first term as x and square it, so x squared. And then I take the two terms and multiply them together, 2x. And then square the second term, 2 squared is 4. So this is the factored form of x cubed plus 8. Now we can check ourselves. This is a fairly long process, but if you want to check yourself, this is what you would do. We'll distribute our x first through this trinomial. So x times x squared is x cubed. X times negative 2x is negative 2x squared. X times 4 is 4x. And now we're done with the x, so let's distribute the 2. 2 times x squared is 2x squared, and I'm going to write it below the negative. Then 2 times negative 2x is negative 4x, and then 2 times 4 is 8. Now notice that this negative 2x squared and positive 2x squared cancel, and then the positive 4x and the negative 4x cancel. And when I add these all together, I get x cubed plus 8. Alright, let's do another example. I'm asked to factor 64x cubed minus 125. The cube root of 64 is 4. The cube root of x cubed is x. And then I have a minus here, so minus, and the cube root of 125 is 5. Now that I have my binomial established, I know that I'm only allowed one minus, so these will both be pluses back here. Then 4x squared, I have to square both factors, so I have 16x squared. And then for my middle term here, I multiply these two together. 4x times 5 is 20x. Now notice we're not making it a negative 20x, which is the product of these two, because you have to first and foremost remember that you're only allowed the one minus sign. And since it was a difference of cubes, my minus had to go here in this binomial. Okay, so when I say the product of the two, I mean their absolute values. Alright, and then the last term back here is the last term squared, so 5 squared is 25. And this is my factored form.